Joining us to help talk about the series against the Mets is host of BT and Sal, middays at WFAN, our very own, well, Odyssey's very own, Sal Licata. What's up, Sal?
God, wait a second here. I thought we were talking about the Knicks game, too, tonight. We're talking baseball?
Oh, bro.
NBA's dead. Shut up.
You guys are dead in the water. You know it deep down. You guys in the streets celebrating a Game 1 win against the Pistons like you won a title.
Well, that's embarrassing. I can't back that.
Okay, all right, thank you. I knew I could count on you for that. So, Sal, we actually played on the air your Juan Sodto rant from last week, which I understood and could feel, and then he got a standing ovation, had a big hit this weekend. Where are you on Sodto?
Well, look, my reaction was that, I'm allowed to be angry that the guy has not performed through 20 games. I never said I was worried or concerned about him long term. But come on, he started last year with the Yankees hitting home runs left and right, changing the entire feel of that team. With the Mets, after he gets a near $800 million contract, he can't buy a hit. Hasn't looked anything like himself. And I'm also not going to go out there and give him ovations because he gets a couple of singles here. Juan Sodto, I know the walks are a part of his game. He doesn't look the same to me. So there's a lot more there. Maybe he gets going in this big series against the Phils. He's usually a guy that the bigger the moment, the better he is. I'm not going to cheer him. That wouldn't be me, but it is working. You guys started that crap, that soft crap, cheering these players.
Well, that's Fritz.
Well, it worked.
Yeah, it's working, yeah.
It wasn't 19 games into the season.
Well, what did you think about the standing ovation?
It's not for me. I said last week that if it were me, I would have booed him, and mainly not only because of my frustration with him, but because I think he's the type of player that would have responded to it. Lindor is somebody who benefited from the warm crowd after years, similar to Trey Turner's situation, where Lindor liked the encouragement, even though he didn't earn it. I think Sodto would have been fine either way. I think he was surprised by it. I don't think it correlates to him having some success. He got a base hit, big deal, a couple base hits, but it wouldn't be for me. For me, Sodto, right now the pressure should be on him, and I want to see a lot more of him. I personally would have booed him.
Oh, wow.
This is Sal. And your thought, we saw the quote, he said, part of the lack of success this year was not having Judge hitting behind him while Pete Alonso's hitting like 360. Right. Your reaction to that, I guess that was all wrapped up into this, though.
Well, yeah, it was one thing after another. Earlier in the offseason, I guess it was spring training, Andy Martino of SNY said, Juan Sodto misses the Yankees, which, look, I get it. We understand that on a human level, but no Mets fan wants to hear that. Then you have the struggles. Then you have the comments about Aaron Judge. Yeah, we get it. Judge is the best hitter ever. Dude, you left. You left to choose to come to the Mets. So, and you're like, I don't want to hear the excuses. I just don't think fans want to hear it. But in this new day and age, everybody's all about encouragement. So it's okay, Juan. Your 230 batting average will be fine. Hey, you're drawing walks. You've got a couple of singles. Everything will be okay. Now, again, I'm not worried about him. He's a beast. He'll get going. But you got to call it what it is. He's been a terrible disappointment for the first 20-plus games. Terrible disappointment.
Yeah, you know what, Sal? When I saw your rant, I'm saying to myself, now, how would we respond as a fan base here in Philadelphia if that was going on? I would have to imagine we'd be the same way.
That Sal was.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think we would be the same way. This idea, I know what we did with Trey a few years ago. I understand that. That's not typically us here as a fan base. And if a guy signs for $765 million, and he even hints that he's missing where he was prior to coming here,
which is your rival in the same city.
Which is a rival, yeah. That would not go over well here.
Yeah, that's the point. There's also a sensitivity there, and I admit, Mets fans are insecure about the Yankees, where they should be jealous. So you finally steal their star away, and all he's talking about is missing the Yankees?
Yeah.
I just don't want to hear it. On top of not performing to the level that he did when he first got to the Yankees last year. So there were a lot of factors at play. Look, eventually I do think it's going to be old news. Maybe once the Mets take on the Yankees in May 16th out at Yankee Stadium, first Subway Series, and maybe Sodto goes nuts, and then we can put it behind us. But the Yankee thing, and more importantly, his underwhelming start, to say the least. Look at the numbers. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. He's been horrible in comparison to what he was, what anybody expected. Doesn't mean he won't get going, but right now, Juan Sodto has not been anything close to what the Mets.
Well, you don't respect a good old-fashioned walk enough. That count. A walk as good as a hit. They told you that in Little League.
Yeah, and they were wrong about that. A walk is as good as a hit with nobody on base. I mean, come on. A walk is as good as a single with nobody on base. That's it. Now, I'm not saying you got to expand the strike zone here, but come on. You don't pay a guy $765 million to walk. You want him to do some damage.
Sal Licata of BT and Sal on WFAN joining us to talk about Mets Phils. So all that aside, Mets are in first place by 2 games, a really, really good start. The starting pitching has been pretty good for a part of the team that I thought was going to be a weakness. How real do you think the starting pitching performance is?
Well, this is the second straight year that they've done this. I mean, I legit looked at the rotation on paper before the season and said, God, this is an awful rotation. And yet, here we are. I don't know how they're doing it, but they continue to do it. Look, Clay Holmes is a good pitcher. Is he a great starter? I mean, I don't know. He goes 5, maybe 6 innings on a great night, but he's been pretty efficient. And then they hand it over to the bullpen, and that's been their formula. They're missing their best pitcher, in my opinion, with Sean Manaea being out. So I don't know. That would be the one thing that I wouldn't be sure about how sustainable it is. But the fact that they've done this now 2 years in a row with whether it's Hefner, their pitching coach, their pitching lab, or Stearns just identifying something in some of these pitchers. Griffin Canning is a prime example. The guy was 6-13 with an ERA over 5 a year ago. All of a sudden he comes in, he's pitching well for the Mets through 5 or 6 innings through his first few starts. So they're keeping themselves in the game, good bullpen, and then timely hitting. I think that is a recipe that they can have success with for the long term. I just don't know. I mean, they have had the best pitching staff in baseball. That, to me, is not sustainable.
So Phil's 2 games behind the Mets, and this is a big series for the Phillies. Like, how do you, from a Met perspective, this is a big series for the Mets? Like, do you look at this as a measuring stick, or how do you view the series with the Phils?
Yes, it is a measuring stick. Forget about what happened in the postseason last year. The Phillies owned the Mets in the regular season. Phillies won the division. Also, even with the addition of Juan Sodto coming into the year, the Mets were looked at as lesser than both the Braves and the Phillies. The Mets have been red hot to start the year. The Mets have been 9-1 at home to start the year. So, to me, it would cement their start to at least take 2 out of 3. Now, not the end of the world if they lose the series, but if they do lose this series to the Phillies, then the doubt starts to creep in. Well, are they a product of their early season easy schedule? Are they as good as the Phillies long term when push comes to shove? Those will be the talking points if they lose. If they win, it at least legitimizes their start and lets everybody know they're for real in the National League East.
I like a series where you got both sides got question marks. I'm not feeling all that great on this side, Sal. So yeah, I don't know what this team is, whether or not it's real or not. I know they won a division last year, but I'm not feeling good. You say forget about that series that ended the season last year in the playoffs, and I can't get it out of my head. So I'm looking forward to this series against the Mets because I'm kind of viewing them as a little bit of a measuring stick.
Well, what's going to happen if the Mets beat them then? How do you feel like? See, to me, from the Philly perspective, the worst already happened. They had a dominant regular season. They got bounced by the Mets in the first round of the playoffs. There's no making up for that until October.
Oh, I agree. So big picture, yeah. I totally agree with you, big picture-wise. But we're treating this thing like the football season, man. We're week to week around here.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, in October, you won't even care about the Phillies anyway because you get the Eagles back up. I know how you guys work. You feel about the Birds.
Well, I think it's both right now.
Oh, no, the Phillies have the majority of our attention right now.
Yeah. It's the weird thing, you wouldn't know about this in New York, but the weird thing when the football team wins the Super Bowl is that nobody, it's weird. Nobody, you can't get anybody to debate anything.
No, nobody's mad about anything with the Eagles. They get mad at us for bringing up stuff.
Yes. Dude, they let 5 starters go from the last year's team, and I said, "Is anybody worried?" And they're like, "Why don't you trust Howie, you loser?" And so we're pretty dialed in on the Phillies because you can't question anything with the Eagles, at least not until halftime of the first game.
Yeah, that, and because you don't have a Sixers series to look forward to.
Yes, that as well.
There it is. That again.
There it is.
Sal, do you think that the positive Tommy's dead and struggling to find a new bit? Because it's kind of a sad scene that I see on Twitter.
I feel like positive Tommy needs to evolve a bit. Even I'm positive Tommy'd out. Same thing. He will lead us. He is positive. I mean, enough with positive Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy Lugauer, a host in the afternoon show, his bit, just explaining to anyone who doesn't know, his bit was just, he's going to be positive about anything. And it is pretty, it's irritating from this side. I can't even imagine from that side.
He's like, I will lead us. They made the NLCS, and they're probably going to win 90-plus games. It's no fluke anymore.
Yeah, you can't.
They signed Juan Sodto.
Yeah.
Right. The little engine that could, against the grain is over. I was hoping we could trade Positive Tommy to Philadelphia for a couple of players to be named later.
Well, Positive Tommy might work for the Eagles, right? I mean, the Positive Tommy might work. I think. Yeah.
The Sixers would be the true test.
Well,
over the hump.
Trust me, I've tried to be Positive Tommy on the Sixers. It doesn't work around here. The last thing, Sal, what is one of my favorite things in New York was the dynamic between Yankee fans and Met fans. So right now, how is that relationship going? Do Yankees fans still sort of feel superior? Who feels like big brother and who feels like little brother right now?
Yeah, I think Yankee fans are still extremely hurt by Sodto leaving, but they're satisfied to a certain extent because the team is playing well right now. And the same can be said about the Mets, where the Mets think that they're on the verge of being big brother and they're playing well. It hasn't come to a head yet, which it will, as I said, that weekend on May 16th, at least in the regular season. So I think it's still early rounds, jabbing a little bit. But if the Yankee fan the Yankees were in the World Series. The Yankees still have the best player in the world in Judge. They're still winning. So Mets have a long way to go to get to that level. Plus Soto's early season struggles or the slow start, however you want to label it, I don't think that helps. I think if Sodto was going nuts, Met fans would have more legs to stand on early on in the year.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about Yankees fans being hurt about the Sodto thing. Tom Izzo, who works there at WFAN, he would always tell me during free agency, he goes, no one ever leaves the Yankees. Like just that sort of entitled Yankee fan, no, he ain't leaving. No one ever comes here and leaves the Yankees. And then he left, and I think it hurt them a little bit. I really do. All right, Sal.
BT. I mean, BT was just like that. So for a year, I was telling him Soto's leaving, coming to the Mets. No, he's not. No, he's not. And sure enough, he did. So yeah. I'm still taking the victory lap. I don't know about everybody else in New York.
Well, but immediately those guys, BT pivoted to, well, he's not really that good anyway.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker's better. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, generational. Come on, let's not be crazy. He hits 25 home runs a year. All right, there is Sal Licata. You can hear Sal middays on WFAN with Brandon Tierney. We appreciate you as always, Sal.
Appreciate it, Sal.
Thank you, guys.